Okay, so hey guys, and welcome back to another predictions video, and in today's video I'm going to be predicting the Mcgregor versus Ayala fight. If you are new around here though and you have subscribed, please do so, like the video if you need like the video, and let's get straight into it. So, going into this fight, Mcgregor is 12-0-1 with 9 KOs, and Ayala is 13-1 with 9 KOs. This fight is for the IBO World Super Bantamweight title. Mcgregor's last fight was a win via points versus Cabore, and Ayala's last fight was a win via TKO in round 1 versus Talavera. This is Mcgregor's chance to get back to where he wants to be. Of course, like I mentioned, he has that draw in his record, and that was what I believe 1-2 fights ago, and he's probably not been as active as he's wanted to be as of recent, and it seems like he's coming back onto track and getting things back where he wants to be, and this is definitely the shot that he wants, and I would say he deserves, and it's definitely where, like I said, where he wants to be and getting himself back on track. Of course, his last fight was a bit of a warm-up fight realistically, and since the draw, it's just kind of was that fight to bridge the gap to just prove that he's still at a good level and still fighting at somewhat of a high level, and that sets up this fight nicely. But yeah, now I think if he wins this one, then he's going to be getting, first of all, options for opponents, and second of all, he's going to be able to fight as frequently as he wants, and I'm sure that's something that he's going to be enjoying and wanting to be the case. This is in McGregor's home country of Scotland, so of course he's going to have that advantage. Ayala's loss came via KO in round 2 versus Acosta in 2020, so he's had that defeat suffered. Of course, he's bounced back in his own right, but he's suffered the defeat before, and he's arguably it's against a lesser opponent as well. Mcgregor, though, he's determined. Of course, like I mentioned, he's got a lot that he wants to be fighting for here. He's hard hitting, he's a body puncher, stands in the pocket, has got fast hands, he's relentless, knows how to close the show, is fighter off the front foot, he likes to fight off the front foot, he's got good counters, pressure fighter, outworks his opponents, and I quite like his style. When he's on and in full flow, he looks very, very good. He's got kind of the slick movements, he's got the body punching, the inside type fighting, the fast hands, the combination throw in, and it's good. And the fact that he can kind of counter off the front foot is like, he can be a bit of an in and out puncher when he wants to be, and then he can set up his shots well because he'll wait until you throw and then he'll pick an angle, pick a shot, and it's quite nice and it's quite fluid and it looks natural, and the speed and the hard hittingness does make it look good and be an impressive factor. I think the kind of, I suppose, negatives with him, he can be dragged into a bit of a war. He's got a bit of a weakish guard at times. He's open to counters, can be a little bit too eager at times, can be a bit straight up, and does wear down a little bit later on. I think, especially in that draw, he came in with just a bit of a different kind of look about him. He didn't really look like a normal kind of Lee McGregor. He wasn't fluid, he wasn't as loose, and he was kind of just walking you down as he normally does, but then he'd stand up straight and he wasn't really being an in and out kind of puncher, and that kind of slowed down. And there's been a couple of fights where he's just maybe looked either a bit shaky or a little bit like he's not really got his style fully sorted. And of course, if you're going to be fighting at a world level against whoever it may be, and you don't have a fully set style, it can definitely come out to kind of catch you out, and it can definitely be something that can be kind of taken advantage of by the opponent. And so the fact that he can be hurt, and Ayala is in his own right a bit of a big puncher, it's gonna show if he does get caught, if he's got a good chin or not. I mean, of course, he's been hit with some big shots already and he's been able to take it, but he wouldn't recommend doing it all the time, especially. And it also means that he's gonna make fights possibly closer than they should be, just because maybe he is outworking and landing the better shots, or maybe he's just landing the better shots but maybe he's getting outworked, or maybe it's the opposite way around sometimes. So he's just not quite doing enough. He's definitely got the ability there, he's just not quite sometimes doing enough to be as impressive as I'd like him to be. And there's been a couple fights where maybe he's not quite looked as good as what he could do, and he does, like I said, slow down a little bit in the later rounds. Ayala, though, he throws with intent. Of course, he'll always throw back. He's got good body work, he will take you to a war, he has heart. I'd say he has somewhat of that kind of one punch KO power. Maybe not always, but sometimes. And I've seen little clips of him, and there is like ability there for him to be able to get that one punch KO, and he does change levels well. I like how it's seemingly going to be an inside the pocket fight, to be completely honest. I don't think Ayala even does his best work on the inside, to be completely fair, but he doesn't really use much of a jab, and to be fair, Mcgregor doesn't loads either, so I feel like it's going to be an inside the kind of pocket fight, and it's going to make it entertaining. It would not surprise me if this ends up getting taken to a war, which I do not think would favour Mcgregor as much as he probably would expect and want. And of course, like I said, Ayala has that heart and has that power that he can hurt, and he might possibly hurt McGregor here. Ayala, though, like I said, he's not. I don't think he does his best work on the inside. I think if he did get behind his jab, he could possibly do good work, but he just doesn't use it. He does get pushed back. It's a bit of a strange analogy, this, but he kind of wafts his hook. So he kind of comes in and doesn't. Maybe it's throwing it with his arm, or I don't know. Maybe it's just a lack of accuracy, but he's not often landing his hook clean. And he does it. He's quite often just not landing that hook clean at all, and it's just something that technically isn't really the nicest to see. But it's still landing. It's just not really clean, and maybe it kind of lands with different parts of the hand of probably what he wanted to do, and he does it a little bit more regularly than I'd like to see. But either way, it's still landing. He's not overly accurate in general, to be completely fair. So maybe, like I said, maybe that's a factor in why he's looks like he wafts his hooks a little bit. He's got little setup behind his shots, and he can be outworked. It does take a lot, but he can be outworked, and I've seen a couple fights where he has been outworked, especially maybe this was the second to last fight, I believe. I think he did get outworked at times, but like I said, he does always throw one back when he does get one, so it does take a lot for him to get outworked. McGregor is the favourite for this fight, and I think that McGregor will win via TKO in round 4. To be completely fair, I think McGregor has the movement. If he's putting in a good showing, and this is what I really want to see, I'm really expecting to see in front of his home crowd for a world title, putting on a great McGregor showing, and just one that's loose, got good movement, landing good clean shots. And then I definitely think if we see the best McGregor, you can get him out there early on, get a round 4 TKO. And I just think if it goes into the later rounds, then there is more of a chance of Ayala finding success, or even if it goes to points, I still think McGregor would probably win. It would take a lot for Ayala to win on points, but it could be close, then McGregor would want it on points. So I feel like McGregor, if he does just turn it a little bit and up it and just show his best ability that he definitely has, then I feel like he could win via TKO in round 4. Then I don't really know what to say in opponents as who he could fight next. Of course, this is a world title fight, so he probably would want more world level opposition, but I just don't see him winning this and then going on to another world title straight away. I know this because this is not really one of the big sanctioning bodies, but there's possible options: McCann versus Baluta, Davis versus Cunningham. They're kind of big fights in the division. Masood, they're all at similar points in their career record wise and all of that, and they're all kind of, well, bar Baluta, they're all kind of domestic level fights, but I don't know, unless I don't think he'd want to go down and fight European again. So I put Akhmadaliev. That could be a good fight, good ranking fight, because I mean, of course, Akhmadaliev, I believe he's coming off a loss, but he's still fought at that high level and not too far away since he's been at that high level, so that could be a good fight. But it's difficult of where he could go next, but I feel like the options, depending on how he wins this, the options could be there or could not be there. If he wins it badly, then I feel like there'll be more options. If he wins it really convincingly, then he could get pushed up higher than maybe I'm expecting and maybe I'm underestimating. But we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, that is it for today's video. Hope you did enjoy. Like if you did, like this, subscribe if you're new, and thanks for watching.